if you mind sitting here. Hello. Hello, everyone. I'll be a comedian and one-man AV team this evening as well. But yeah, it's good to be back. If the merch wasn't obvious enough, I went abroad as well. What? What was that?
It's the butler!
Thank you, yeah, that's the company. That's the one. Yeah, actually I was abroad for 3 years, so a lot has changed. What happened to the library, guys? Like, did we do something with that? No. In actuality, I was only abroad for 3 months, but as I said, I did buy 3 years worth of merch to make people believe otherwise. I was in Scotland, which is a great place, again, if you couldn't guess already. And I actually interned in the Scottish Parliament, which I would tell you more about, except I don't want to cause an international incident. Again. But I can tell you one thing. I had this good friend who we'd eat in the Parliament canteen together. We'd share our daily allotment of haggis. His name was Dougal. And Dougal is, of course, you know, picture him as you will, a bearded Scottish man in a kilt played by Chris Pine. And we would share meals and we would talk about cultural differences between America and Scotland. So, you know, small things like you'd say hiya instead of hi when you enter a shop. Paper is longer there. You can't find folders with pockets. Horses are shorter. And pants are called underwear. And also Shrek is different. So, naturally, my first question to Dougal is, Shrek is different? What do you mean? And, you know, Dougal being the ever so patient host to me, the witless foreigner, calmly explains, well, you know, they had to make him sound different to the Scottish ear, because he's got a Scottish accent, right? And I was like, but you guys speak English, like, how did they dub him? And they're like, oh, well, you know, he sounds different, I can show you. And I was like, okay, this is either gonna go really well or really poorly. And so he leans in, you know, over his haggis, kind of looking around, because again, we are in a parliament, and he does his best impression, which is something akin to, hey, donkey, what are you doing in my swamp? Oh, these are like deli sandwiches, they've got layers. Get out of here, you Farquaad-looking piece of shit. You know? Now, if you have a hard time imagining a Scottish man doing a New York accent, I did too until I heard it, so. But no, Scotland was great. My mom was very proud. She's a very, very strong-willed Colombian mother. So she obviously tells all of my family and friends what I'm doing at all times, and usually makes it sound more interesting than it is. But she has two modes about her when she's talking about my chosen major, political science. And mode one is, mijo, you're going to be president of the United States and presidente de Colombia. And I explained, Mom, I can't do both. She says, no, don't worry about it. And then mode two is more along the lines of, ay, Dios mío, you're going to be shot. Because, you know, apparently she thinks I'll be important enough to die someday. It's not true. I'll never be important enough to die. But then the thought that goes through every political science student's head went through mine. What if I was? What if I was important enough to die? So I go to my favorite search engine, which in Scotland they call Google, and I typed in, you know, political assassination how, enter. You know, if I wasn't on a list already for the other thing that happened in Scotland, I'm certainly on one now. So, you know, I find the typical boring results, your Kennedys, your Lincolns, you know, whatever. And I decide if I really am going to go out, I got to go out in a way that really fits my brand, which is weird and funny, and you kind of don't really think about it that much. So the first one that I found, which really struck a chord with me, was the death of Franz Ferdinand, who you may know from their hit single on the 2004 Madden soundtrack, Take Me Out. Yeah, you played Madden, you know. Also, Take Me Out, really not a great name for a politician's song, you know? And if you're not familiar with the story, in a nutshell, 6 different people tried to kill him on the same day. The first 5 failed. The 6th one decided to try. He failed. He took arsenic. That didn't work. He tried to drown himself, but the river was too shallow. And then he decided, you know what? I need a sandwich. So he goes to the local delicatessen, and there Archduke Franz Ferdinand is sitting in his car, which has miraculously stalled, and our good assassin, Gavrilo Princip, sandwich in one hand, handgun in the other, says, all right, World War I. But there was another one that really got my goat. The golden goose of deaths, which after much digging and many bodies, I found. If you would be so kind as to reveal. Now, this is not anything you need to be concerned about yet, but first of all, do we have any Harold Holt fans in the room? Yeah, that's right, you fucking liars. Harold Holt was Australian Prime Minister for approximately 1 year because, well, take a guess. But he made 2 mistakes. Mistake 1, being the Prime Minister of Australia. Mistake 2, going for a swim by himself. So, naturally, what happened was Mr. Holt drifted off to sea and was never found again. Now, that in and of itself is a tragedy. However, what makes it funny is that the state of Victoria named a swimming center after him. Now you're asking yourself, how soon did they do this? How much time was appropriate? You know, if 9/11 isn't still funny, how much time? 3 years. It took them 3 years, all right? Now, naturally, I had to dig further. Was there anything else that made this man's death any more absurd? Well, the answer is yes. Lots of things. So we've got the Harold Holt Disappearance Reenactment Society, a band of middle-aged Australians named Harold Holt and the Sharks, and of course, the Harold Holt cult. 28 likes on Facebook, please give them more. But I had to dig even deeper. There was more, because of course there was. There were Harold Holt memes. Endless amounts of Harold Holt memes. And I'm talking endless amounts of Harold Holt's memes. Now, all I'm saying is, ladies and gentlemen, if you're getting a political science degree and this is not what you want your legacy to be, frankly, I don't know what you're doing. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Now, settle down, because up next comes our fearless leader, who I sincerely hope never has a Harold Holt sort of thing happen to her. The one, the only, Delaney Barker.